Coming up on Valley View News, Sears files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Plus, homosexuality is an obstacle to worship in some African American churches. And Ariana Grande calls off her engagement.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Sammy Shakta.
And I'm Brian Baruman. After 132 years in business, Sears filed for bankruptcy. Some people might think this should have happened years ago when Sears started closing stores across the valley, but those closures along with cuts in advertising were actually attempts to stay competitive. Online competitors and big box stores have chipped away at Sears' profits for years. Former CEO Eddie Lampert has been replaced, but he said bankruptcy will let Sears shed debt and become a more competitive company. It's uncertain if Sears will survive after bankruptcy. Other companies like Radio Shack, Toys R Us, and others went into bankruptcy hoping to revive, and they failed.
Many college students nationwide are not registered to vote. CSUN's Associated Students Office aims to increase voter turnout by helping students register to vote online or on campus.
In November, there is an election going on. This event focuses on getting people to register to vote and just giving out more information about the elections.
Other ways you can register to vote are at your nearest Department of Motor Vehicles, post office, and library. The online process offers a step-by-step guide to help users quickly register. With more people registered to vote and then voting, there is expected to be a more accurate representation of the public.
For some churches, it's taboo to acknowledge homosexuals. As a result, many in the LGBTQ community have sought places of worship that recognize them. Valley View's Jade Davis visited one of these churches. Here's her report.
Renewed LA has paved the way for the LGBTQ community and the advancement in black churches.
I was ostracized and kicked out of the church for being who I am. And so I felt like I needed to create a space and a place that would invigorate and push people back to their destinies.
Due to some people's rejection of sexual orientation and gender identity differences, members couldn't live their truth.
As a queer woman, sat in church feeling like when I do come out, everybody's gonna hate me, like no one's gonna understand this.
I think you can look back in history, you have gay choir directors or gay people in the choirs and stuff like that, and that's fine, but you're not gonna lead from up front, or we're not gonna tell you the real deal.
Unfortunately, church members are dying of sexually transmitted diseases because the church won't discuss these issues openly.
Men who were showing up for their very first HIV treatment appointment showed up later and had more advanced disease progression than men who said that they didn't go to church at all.
There are deeply rooted stigmas in the black church regarding sexuality that seems taboo.
Love itself, is not sin. So when you look at that, are we coming from a message of love or are we coming from a message of hate? And a lot of the problems with same genders in church is pretty much hate, and it's a biased hate that's not stemmed from any real facts.
When I opened up and said that this is actually what I do, in my private life, I was rejected. People stopped calling me, and they actually just stopped being there for me. So to find a safe space where you can actually worship and do what you love to do it's great.
Homosexuality within the black church has historically been resisted. Whether you oppose or affirm the LGBTQ community, everyone is deserving of being accepted. From Los Angeles, I'm Jade Davis reporting for Valley View News.
Traffic on Zelza Avenue was diverted Monday after strong winds brought down power lines. The area was cleared off by the CSUN police and local fire department. Firefighters waited until the power lines were no longer active before approaching. The Department of Water and Power was en route to make repairs. There was no report of any power outage on campus and no reports of any injuries.
CSUN celebrated its 60th anniversary last Saturday with a grand reunion. Valley View News reporter Zaira Garcia is live with details. Zaira?
Thank you, Sammy. The grand reunion is one of the largest events bringing alumni back to this campus.
It's a great place to be, great place for education. The demographics have changed. As I say, again, it's the cultural center, even a financial center of San Fernando Valley.
From student performances to meals from food trucks, there were activities to entertain all who attended. AS President Beverly Tagu says CSUN has grown as a more diverse campus.
30 years ago, they didn't have these classes. They didn't look like us, Back in the day, we didn't have, our cultural comparative studies. We didn't have a lot of diversity on campus. But to see where it's grown from then and now is definitely a blessing.
Clubs and organizations set up tables to reconnect with alumni. Former CSUN student Richard Childs encourages students to take full advantage of their time while in college.
You need to find some way to get yourself super glued to this campus, and one of the ways to do that is to join an organization, work for Associated Students, find something you love and stick to it.
Matadors from past and present were able to see how CSUN has grown over the decades. From the CSUN campus, I'm Zaira Garcia, Valley View News.
LA's new police chief is traveling to many locations around the city in order to get to know the communities better. Valley View's Lucas Wiggins covered the chief's recent visit to CSUN.
CSUN's Department of Criminology and Justice Studies invited LA's newest police chief, Michael Moore, to speak with CSUN students in his first visit to a college campus as chief of police. Moore says he wants the CSUN community to know that they too are Angelenos.
What I hope for the students of CSUN to know and recognize, as well as the faculty and staff, is that they're part of Los Angeles.
This city and our society has changed.
During his hour-long dialogue with students, Moore spoke on several topics, including plans to improve public safety, increasing community engagement, and addressing homelessness. CSUN student Robert Flores says he appreciates Moore's strategy on immigration.
I liked how he was able to break it down between the difference of local policing and federal policing, and the fact that for them it's public safety.
Some students wish there was an opportunity to ask more questions. CSUN student Lugardo Chavez says he appreciates Moore's emphasis on transparency, but wishes he spent more time building a relationship with the campus community.
More time to talk and more time to develop that conversation and that rapport.
Since being sworn in June, Chief Moore has held more than 100 community meetings, demonstrating his commitment to shaping Los Angeles into the safest city in America. Reporting in Northridge, I'm Lucas Wiggins for Valley View News.
There's a possibility of a strike by the UTLA Teachers Union against the LAUSD. So far, both sides have failed to reach an agreement on labor issues. Teachers want the LAUSD to better invest in classrooms and higher teacher salaries, but LAUSD says more money is needed to cover the expected budget shortfalls in the next 3 years. Two sides are in their third mediation session. They have been negotiating for weeks. If there is a strike, it'll be the first one since 1989.
The disappearance of a Saudi Arabian journalist who works for the Washington Post is the focus of international outrage. Jamal Khashoggi entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, October 2nd. He hasn't been seen since. In his writings, Khashoggi was critical of the Saudi crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who is ruling the kingdom with an iron fist.
I received a phone call ordering me to go silent, with no court decree, with just someone from the royal court, an official from the royal court who was close to the leadership, and ordered me to be silent. He doesn't need this environment of intimidation, of cracking down on dissent.
Khashoggi moved to Virginia when he became a columnist for the Washington Post. He was going to the Saudi consulate to get paperwork to finalize a divorce when he disappeared. President Trump says he had a conversation with the Saudi king, who denied any knowledge of what happened to Khashoggi. The Saudi government says it will open its consulate to inspection by investigators from Turkey.
Senator Elizabeth Warren released the results of a DNA analysis revealing that she does have distant Native American ancestry. During a July rally, Donald Trump said he would pay $1 million to Warren's favorite charity if she took a genetic test to prove her claim to be part Native American. Trump repeatedly mocked Warren and her claim by frequently calling her Pocahontas. When Trump was asked about the DNA results on Monday, he said, "Who cares?" and then denied ever saying that he would pay her. Meanwhile, Trump says if Warren runs for president in 2020, she would be an easy opponent to beat.
Disney is donating $1 million to Hurricane Michael relief. The storm destroyed parts of Florida, then continued on a path that reached to Virginia. Disney will also match any donations that its employees make through its Disney Employee Matching Gifts program. Michael is estimated to have cost $8 billion in uninsured damage.
Electric scooter injuries are becoming more and more common and landing many people in the emergency room. Some riders are even dying from scooter-related accidents. In September, a DC man died from a rented Lime scooter after he was pinned under a SUV. In San Diego, a 32-year-old man was rushed to the ER with a concussion, cuts, and a broken nose after he flew off a bird scooter. doctors reported the cases of a rider being treated for his injuries when another young man came with severe head injuries caused by a bird scooter crash. Doctors said none of these riders were wearing helmets.
A Colorado woman came to the defense of two Latinas who were being criticized for speaking Spanish in a grocery store. Kamira Trent confronted the woman who insisted that the ladies speak English because they were in America.
Nobody should be treated that way ever. They were scared. They didn't know really how to react to it. They both tried to walk away from her and she wouldn't let them walk away.
Get out of here now. You know what? Do not. I'm calling the cops.
The video went viral with many praising Trent for her actions. The woman who yelled at the women shopping was arrested the day after the incident. She was charged with 2 counts of biased harassment.
Meat producer JBS Tolson Incorporated is recalling meat products that may have been contaminated with salmonella, health officials say. The outbreak was first discovered in September. There may have been 57 cases linked to this outbreak in 16 states between August and September. The recalled products were packaged between July 26 and September 7. 14 people have been hospitalized so far. Symptoms of salmonella are diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and fever. It can begin 12 to 72 hours after consuming the product and can last up to a week.
Some people with autism are getting to embrace who they are in an amazing way. Valley View's Natalia Vivino gives us an insight with this story.
Every Tuesday night, a group of actors at the Wallace Annenberg Center rehearse for an original musical they created. It's for an inclusive theater program called The Miracle Project. It helps kids with autism embrace who they are.
It's taught me to be social, to be more social, to talk more, to actually be confident with myself.
Rehearsals are a collaborative process, with the cast and creative team working together to create a show from scratch. The actors also vary in age and ability. This creates an environment not just for disabled kids, but for everyone.
I think the greatest compliment is when people say, I couldn't tell who has a disability and who doesn't, because we're an ensemble.
The musical is called 185 Wilshire, A Love Story. It's inspired by the cast's real-life experiences navigating different types of relationships. But what the show also does is emphasize the importance of staying true to yourself.
I think what's different at the Miracle Project is that the students feel they're being heard.
As the kids get ready to put on their show, the Miracle Project proves once again that no matter your experience or abilities, theater is for everyone. In Beverly Hills for Valley View News, I'm Natalia Vivino.
From pregnancies to called-off engagements, it's time for entertainment news with Valley View's Daria Hariri. Daria, what is going on?
Well, Brian, we got some good news and we got some bad news. Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson have broken up and called off their engagement. This comes just 4 months after Davidson proposed in June. A source close to Grande and her team says the couple realized it all happened too fast, too soon. The source also says that this news doesn't really come as a shock to most people. Grande has been through a lot the past few years, with the Manchester bombing leaving 22 people dead and the recent death of her ex-boyfriend, rapper Mac Miller. Grande's team said on September 17th she'll be taking a much-needed break to heal and mend. Meghan Markle is expecting baby number 1. The exciting news comes 5 months after the royal wedding. The baby will be 7th in line to the British throne after Prince Charles, Prince William, his 3 children, and Prince Harry. Harry and Meghan recently arrived in Australia for their first overseas tour as a married couple when they broke the news. Kensington Palace also released a statement on their Instagram account saying the baby is expected next spring. A hologram of Amy Winehouse is set to hit the road on tour. The company, Base Hologram, partnered with Winehouse Estate to produce the hologram tour to celebrate the singer's success and legacy. The hologram company creates content for live holographic entertainment tours and attractions worldwide. The Winehouse tour launches late next year. Winehouse's hologram will be accompanied with a live band, background singers, and theatrical stagecraft. The tour was announced by Winehouse's father and chief executive producer of Base Holograms. The First Man, starring Ryan Gosling as astronaut Neil Armstrong, hit theaters last weekend. The film made $25.1 million worldwide just 2 days after its release. The Universal Pictures movie reunites Oscar-winning La La Land director Damien Chazelle and Ryan Gosling. The First Man explains the amazing story behind the First Man mission to the moon.
I felt like I learned Neil was, it's such a special person would say something like that. And, he was able to see everything in its larger context. He could see a small step as also a giant leap.
The film focuses on Neil Armstrong's historic Apollo 11 moon landing. It's all told from the perspectives of Armstrong, his family, and NASA. The moon landing was one of the riskiest missions in history. That's all your entertainment news. I'm Daria Hariri. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Daria. More to come on Valley View News. Elon Musk is working on a new project.
And the LA Rams remain undefeated. Our sports reporter Brandon Benitez will give us the NFL recap.
CSUN's campus newspaper, The Sundial, has been working hard on so many stories.
For a look into the week's headlines, here's the Sundial's editor-in-chief, Augustine Garcia.
Thanks, Sammy and Brian. Last week, the Sundial published a story on the AS president where she discusses her plans for this year as well as her struggles throughout her educational career. The Sundial also published a story on students saying that Big Show 2018 lived up to the hype. And in other news, we are now accepting submissions for our Arts and Lit. If you guys need information about that, contact ane@csun.edu. That's all from us here at the Sundial. Back to you guys.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited parts of Florida devastated by Hurricane Michael. They took an aerial tour on Marine One over the affected areas. The seaside town of Mexico Beach was 95% destroyed. Dozens of people are still missing in the Florida Panhandle. About 30 to 35 people remain missing in Mexico Beach.
Elon Musk wants to make his own tequila. Early last week, the electric car company founder submitted a trademark application for the word Teslaquila. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office site claims Teslaquila would be used for labeling distilled agave liquor and distilled blue agave liquor. Musk tweeted a link to the report saying, Teslaquila, coming soon. Tesla isn't commercially using the word right away. They do plan to use it in the future, though.
There's a lot going on around the globe right now. Catherine Molina brings us international news from our Digital Media Center.
10 people died after 3 months' worth of rain fell in a 6-hour span in southern France. The commune of Peasants was evacuated and all schools were closed due to the flash flooding. Local residents were told to remain indoors. Storms also hit Portugal, leaving thousands without power near their capital, Lisbon. A woman was freed after being held hostage for 2 hours at a train station in Germany. The woman was treated for minor injuries. Police say the attacker was seriously injured during his arrest. Officers later returned to the scene to reassure passengers that the threat of danger was gone, but they still warned people to avoid the area. The border crossing between Jordan and Syria reopened after being closed for 3 years. The closure in 2015 cut a transit route for hundreds of trucks a day. Lebanese President Michel Aoun tweeted that opening the crossing will lower the cost of exporting goods from Lebanon to other Arab countries. Before entering Jordan, Syrians must still obtain a security clearance. Pope Francis canonized 7 new Catholic saints. The 7 are a diverse group, including Pope Paul IV and Archbishop Oscar Romero of El Salvador. The ceremony was held at the Vatican in front of 70,000 people. This comes in the middle of another sexual abuse scandal involving the Philadelphia Archdiocese. One of the world's most famous beach destinations, Boracay, has been reopened for a small group of residents. The resort island was closed off in April for rehabilitation work. The group of residents was invited to test the newly improved facilities, which include an overhaul of the island's outdated sewage systems. Officials say a significant amount of work still needs to be done before tourists are allowed back on the island. That's all for international news. Now back to you in the studio.
Now let's get the latest on sports with Brandon Benitez. What's going on, Brandon?
A lot's happened, Sammy. The starting running backs for both of LA's NFL teams are having career years. We start with the Rams taking on the Denver Broncos at Mile High Stadium. Third quarter, LA leads 13-3. Jared Goff hands the ball off to, you guessed it, Todd Gurley, who runs in the touchdown. The Pro Bowler rushed for 2 TDs and a career-high 208 yards against Denver. Rams up 20-3. Later in the quarter, Broncos quarterback Case Keenum steps up in the pocket and drills it up the middle to Emmanuel Sanders. Sanders fights off 2 defenders and stretches for the goal line to cut the lead to 10. Late in the fourth quarter, Broncos down 23-13. Keenum takes a snap and floats it over the top to Demaryius Thomas, who toe taps the catch for a Broncos touchdown. They go for an onside kick, but their rally comes up short. Denver loses 23-20. Rams move to 6-0 and become the only undefeated team in the league. Heading to Cleveland, Phillip Rivers and the Chargers taking on the Browns. Second quarter, Rivers, off play action, steps up and heaves a bomb into triple coverage. Somehow, Chargers receiver Tyrell Williams is still able to make the catch to put LA up 14-3. Williams has himself a day, posting 118 receiving yards, catching both of Rivers' touchdown passes. Second half now, and the Chargers hit the gas pedal. Melvin Gordon takes the pitch from Rivers and zigs his way for the touchdown. Gordon rushed for 135 yards and a career-high 3 touchdowns. The fourth-year veteran is now second in the league in total touchdowns among non-quarterbacks. He trails only Todd Gurley for that title. The Boston Red Sox host the Houston Astros for Game 2 of the ALCS. The game's tied at 2, top of the third inning. Marwin Gonzalez struggled in the first game. With 2 outs and a runner on first, he makes up for it with a 2-run bomb. That breaks the tie. Astros up 4-2 now. Back come the Red Sox, though. Bottom of the third inning, Jackie Bradley Jr. hits a bases-clearing double. The center fielder was 1 for 17 with the bases loaded during the regular season. He makes up for it with that hit and gets a bit of a lucky bounce. Red Sox lead 5-4. Later on, the Red Sox tack on 2 more runs, making it 7-4. Houston rallies back with a man on first and the tying run at the plate. Red Sox closer Craig Kimbrell throws high heat to Alex Bregman, who hits it to left field. Andrew Benintendi struggles to track the ball, but secures the final out. Red Sox tie the series at 1 apiece. They win 7-5. Boston now heads to Houston for the next 3 games in this best-of-7 series. The USC Trojans defense came up big against the Colorado Buffaloes in Saturday night's game. Second quarter tied at 7. Freshman quarterback JT Daniels takes the snap, slides in the pocket, and heaves it to Michael Pittman Jr. The junior wideout snags the ball midair and runs it down the sideline for a Trojans touchdown. USC up 14-7. Third quarter now, USC is up by 14. Quarterback Steven Montez tries to dump off the pass, but underthrows it. Cornerback Ajeen Harris snatches it for a pick 6. Trojans lead 28-7. Colorado rallies, but comes up short. USC wins 31-20. Head coach Clay Helton stays undefeated at the Coliseum since being hired in 2015. Staying in the Pac-12, Washington travels to Oregon. Third quarter, Huskies down 24-17. Quarterback Jake Browning buys some time, moves to the right, and chucks it deep to Ty Jones, who makes the catch. He hauls it in for a 43-yard touchdown. It's now a tie game heading into the fourth. 3 seconds left in regulation. Huskies kicker Peyton Harry with the chance to kick a game-winning field goal, but hits it wide right. We're going to overtime, tied at 24. Oregon needs a touchdown to end the game. After Washington hits a field goal, Ducks running back C.J. Verdell takes the handoff up the middle to secure the overtime victory. Ducks win 30-27. Oregon's ranking jumped up from 17 to 12. Washington slips from 7 to 15. Brian and Sammy, that's it for sports.
Thanks, Brandon. Coming up on Valley View News, the FDA continues its investigation on e-cigarettes.
Also, Kanye is back on social media. Stay with us.
I came to CSUN to learn. I came to CSUN to grow. I came to CSUN to prepare. I learned to ask, to analyze, to communicate. I grew as a writer, a thinker, a citizen. I left CSUN prepared to participate, prepared to contribute, prepared to lead.
Aloha, I'm Linda Lingle, and I'm a matador.
Hundreds of students from the Beverly Hills Unified School District protested the planned construction of Metro's Purple Line extension. The district claims that tunneling underneath its high school is too dangerous. School officials want Metro to change the path of the Purple Line. Protesters hope the Trump administration will take notice and then stop federal funding for the project. Metro says it conducted multiple studies about the tunnel's impact on communities and found no risks to students.
If you live in SoCal, you might lose power as the Santa Ana winds make their way through. Southern California Edison officials say fallen transformers can be a fire hazard in certain areas. Under a new state policy, the electric company, as a precaution, will be allowed to shut power off in foothill communities from Santa Clarita to Pasadena. They think these proactive blackouts will help prevent fires from starting. Santa Ana wind gusts can reach speeds as high as 75 miles per hour. Flames spread much faster in such winds. More developments on the FDA's investigation of e-cigarettes are coming up.
Here's Isabella Ochoa with social media, tech, and health news.
Thanks, guys. The FDA is continuing its investigation of e-cigarette companies. They sent out letters last week to more than 20 companies asking whether they're illegally marketing products. In the most recent phase of investigation, the FDA conducted a surprise inspection of Juul, an e-cigarette maker. They seized thousands of documents related to Juul sales and marketing practices. They want companies like Juul to explain how they plan to stop minors from using their products. The FDA says it won't allow the illegal marketing of any tobacco products or tobacco-related products. A CDC report says the percentage of children who aren't vaccinated is on the rise. In 2015, an estimated 1.3% of children under the age of 2 weren't vaccinated. Children who were less likely to be vaccinated were uninsured children and those on Medicaid. Some children are even eligible for federally funded programs that give free vaccinations, but their parents don't routinely vaccinate them. The CDC says it'll continue to evaluate reasons for noncompliance with vaccination programs. It'll also look at improving age-appropriate vaccinations for all children. Hackers accessed almost 30 million Facebook users' information. Facebook says this is the biggest security breach in its history. At first, Facebook said 50 million users' accounts were hacked. Now it says only 30 million people were affected. The FBI is investigating the hack. They say they don't know the full extent of the attack, and they aren't ruling out the possibility of smaller attacks that were linked to the breach. Some of the information includes the individual's username, gender, hometown, and birth date, just to name a few. Facebook said they'll send a message to the 30 million users affected and will be posting information on its Help Center page. After deleting his Twitter and Instagram accounts, Kanye West is back on social media. He posted a series of videos that he captioned "Mind Control," in which he thinks social media plays a role.
Who trying to control us and say that we make us all monolithic thought, and they're trying to control our mind. They're trying to control my mind. And when someone tries to tell me what to do, tries to tell me what I can wear and not wear, I feel like they're touching my brain.
The videos that he posted on Sunday caused the most buzz among his fans. After West traveled to Uganda, he reportedly constructed a pop-up studio to work on the next album, titled Yandi. In the meantime, he has been posting videos of his trip in Uganda with his family. That's it for social media, tech, and health news. Fellas, back to you.
We end today with the story of an escaping pet. San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies responded to the call of an enormous pig wandering through Highland neighborhood. The deputies knew of the pig from a previous escape, so they knew exactly how to get him back home. They used Dorito chip trails as bait. The pig followed the trail all the way back home, where it safely was put back behind the fence for now. The sheriffs posted the video on social media saying it was a fun call. Students are struggling to keep up with the increasing tuition and cost of attending college.
Next week on Valley View, we'll have a special report on what is included in the college price tag.
That's all for us at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Sammy Shakta.
And I'm Brian Baruman. For news any time of day, go to our website, sundial.csun.edu. See you next week.